All right, welcome back to the Seahawks Chat. So far the NFL has been doing a major sweep in roster cuts, and it makes sense because tomorrow at 4 p.m., all teams must be at 53 men. So far, since I've been scanning through all the roster cuts, there's been some notable names. And some of the names that I really do think that Seattle could pick up, poach off of other teams and improve our own team. So, this is that being said, I just want to make this video short, sweet, and to the point. But more importantly, I think I'm going to be making a part two as well because there's probably going to be a lot of roster cups and big names. And maybe Seattle can again pick up some of these players and improve our team in terms of both the practice squad and maybe 53 man. So number one, we're going to start with Greedy Williams. I was very surprised Greedy Williams got cut, but at the same time, I'm not because this is his final year of his NFL rookie deal. So I think he's more of a cut casualty. As you can see, even in 2019 and 2020, 2019 he did play 12 games. 2020 he only played half of those games, but still was in 16 games. So again, he's not starting. But overall, I think he had an injury in 2022. That's why he didn't play so much. And I truly believe Greedy Williams, if we can pick him up in Seattle and, let Pete Carroll do his Pete Carroll things, he has the mold to be a great outside corner for Seattle. 6'2", 200, almost 280, well, maybe 290 because 285. But still, 25 years old. He's going to be 26 soon enough. He still has some youngness to him. Maybe the injury he may have sustained may have been really devastating. I actually did not really check if he's how injured he is. These are just names that I'm pointing out. If we're able to pick them up on the cheap and we're able to develop them in Seattle and make them into great players, this is someone I can see, especially for Seattle, because this is cornerbacks. This is something Pete Carroll does best. So this is someone to look out for. Maybe we can pick up Greedy Williams. Next up, we do need a quarterback. Some people are going crazy because they really want Holton Allers as our quarterback. I mentioned this before. Holton Allers is a practice squatter at very best. And to be fair, I'd rather find better quarterbacks, especially that are being released now, and put them in our practice squad. PJ Walker is one of them. PJ Walker has been a starter for a few years in Carolina. I think he was an XFL MVP with the Roughnecks. I don't know if it's XFL or USFL, but it's one of those semi-pro leagues. And he was a superstar. Granted, the talent was semi-pro. But that should tell you that the guy has still some talent. I believe he's still under 30 years old, and he's had a few injuries. I know that. But his last season, notably, in 2022, he did. I do remember him beating us. He had 731 yards for 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. It's right in the middle. But in my opinion, it's not about how well he plays. It's about, is he better than what we have now? And yes, I believe he's much better than Holton Allens. To a degree, he could probably challenge Drew Lock. Just to a degree. But I can't even go that far to say that yet. But would I like PJ Walker under a veteran minimum, maybe under a 2-year deal? I mean, under $2 million deal, maybe like a $1.1 million deal? Yeah, sure. Why not? All right, next up, we have Alex Leatherwood. This one surprised me because it seems as though on 2 teams, he hasn't even seemed to make it work. And what makes it more important is that he's still very young, and he was drafted rather high. I mean, sure, he was drafted with the Raiders, and then they traded him to the Bears for, I think, like a 5th-round pick or 4th. It was a very low pick. And ever since, Alex Leatherwood just has not produced. So far, even in 2022 with the Chicago Bears, he didn't start a game. He played a game. It looks like he recovered a fumble. But again, overall, he hasn't done much. So is this something that Seattle can actually pick up for under the cheap and produce and maybe make a project out of him? And soon enough, he probably, maybe by next year, if he does learn with Seattle and maybe becomes a better tackle with us, being able to learn from Charles Cross and Abe Lucas, maybe Leatherwood could be a good tackle, in the NFL, or a good backup tackle. And I'm only pointing this out because last game, Curhan did not look too good. And Stone Forsythe, don't even get me started with Stone Forsythe. I already want him cut so bad already. So I would take my chances with Alex Leatherwood any day of the week if I'm comparing him to Stone Forsythe. That's just my opinion. Go ahead and roast me. All right, let's move. Let's keep it moving. So we do have another line. We have a linebacker, and that is Tanner Muse. Everybody, do you guys remember him? I do. I remember Tanner Muse. Tanner Muse was actually one of my favorite players coming out of Clemson. And people got to understand, he played safety all basically 5 years at Clemson. So he was always a safety. He was never a linebacker. He was drafted by the Raiders to be a linebacker. That took some time to learn to be a linebacker. And afterwards, he was cut by the Raiders, and the Seahawks picked him up. And honestly, he was in our practice squad for a while. I mean, the entire year. And at the very end of 2022, he was starting to play, and he was looking pretty good. He was out in the field. He was tackling. He was doing coverage plays. All in all, he looked like he was belonging in the NFL, and he was playing our coverage scheme well. So maybe when he was playing with the Steelers, it didn't fit him right. Maybe the culture wasn't for him. I have a lot of hopes in Tanner Muse. If we can bring him back in Seattle, I will be very happy. And especially because he's proven to us before he has some talent in our scheme. So, in terms of coverage linebacker, he's someone I would like to highlight and be able to pick up. All right, next up, we do need a running back. If we're not able to keep Sarajic Thompson, or it looks as though we're getting hints that we might cut DJ Dallas, there's a guy that's out there. He's been in the league many years. It's been about 6 to 7 years now. But Kenyon Drake has some NFL experience, someone that we can use in a pinch. Maybe he's like a Latavius Murray in a way where you just kind of need that running back, and you can play him for a few games and you'll be okay. You don't have to be like worried that guy is just going to entirely suck. Because don't get me wrong, Kenyon Drake is not like a prolific running back, and I don't think he ever was, as you can see. The best season he had was in 2020 with Arizona. But see, he's been bouncing around even two teams. Like, he's been bouncing around. So maybe that's also why he hasn't had a true footing, is that he hasn't had a true team to like keep him, to establish him and have him as a full bell cow. But at the same time, I'd rather have Kenyon Drake because he has actual experience, and he has shown in the past that he can produce in the running back position. And if we can get him for cheap, this is someone I would look out for. All right, next up. Denzel Mims. This kind of shocked me, but in two reasons it didn't. Number one, I believe he's on his rookie deal, and they're cutting him right at the 4th year of his rookie deal. So I truly believe it's a cap casualty. But more importantly, Denzel Mims, he kind of is getting pushed out because of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has his receiver core from last year basically get signed to the Jets in Lazard, and I think also Randall Cobb. But still, like, all these players that he used to throw to are in the Jets now. They also have Garrett Wilson. So all in all this leaves what position for Denzel Mims? Probably nothing. Maybe they're putting him down to the 4th receiver. So if he's going to be a 4th receiver, he's getting paid like $2-3 million because I believe he was a 2nd-round pick or a 3rd-round pick. Yeah, he's got to. They're going to save that money. Save that money real quick, especially for Aaron Rodgers' massive extension contract. So, where does this leave Denzel Mims? Denzel Mims, I truly think, has much more talent than most of the players on our receiving core. Cody Thompson, Kate Johnson, Matt Landers. I think Bobo is probably better than Mims because Bobo just has special ability. But Denzel Mims is, in my opinion, in college, notably, he was a good wide receiver. If we can just pick him up, put him in practice squad, maybe he's able to shine and outperform some of our already practice squad wide receivers. This could be a good pickup, especially for something under $1 million or two. All right, now let's keep it moving. We got 3 more players, but this one in particular really surprised me. O.J. Howard. Really? Even though he's been in the league a few years now, he is 28 years old. He's going to be getting 29, so he's getting very north of 30. Is he on the right path of 30 though? That's my problem. Last season, not really. Just 10 receptions for 145 yards, but there was 2 touchdowns, so he was a red zone threat all in all. Even though he only had 10 receptions, he did play in 13 games, so it's not like he was exactly like hurt. He wasn't hurt. He just was not really a starter. He is getting older. That's the thing, too. But again, he did play really well between 2017 and 2019. Of course, his more prime years. But as you can see, he's really just spiraled. He had a big, I believe he had a massive injury in 2020 and then just spiraled. As soon as he came back, he's just never been the same player. Never been the same player. But even though I've said all that, does that mean he's better than some of our tight ends? Yeah, I think he's better than Mabry for sure. O.J. Howard, I'd much rather have on a veteran minimum and maybe potentially be able to be part of our 53-man and use him, to his strengths as a more of a receiving tight end. At least that's what it was when he was coming out of college. Now, is it worth having him over Fant? I don't think so. Or Will Disley? I don't think so. Or even Colm Carson, I don't think so. But if we can pick him up, we can still use those 2 tight ends as a trade piece, which I've talked about before. We could trade some of our tight ends and pick up a notable O.J. Howard for next to nothing, and we would still have, in my opinion, minimal loss to the position of talent. I think O.J. Howard could probably ascend in Seattle because especially in Seattle, we're so laid back and we want you to be a good player for us. I think O.J. Howard would be a good player for us. All right, so next up, we do have another tight end, and he just recently was turned into a tight end, and he got picked up as an undrafted for the Eagles. And to be fair, if you saw him in preseason, he had a pretty good preseason. He had 5 receptions for 72 yards, averaged 14.4 yards. He did not get a touchdown. I don't think he did. Oh, no, I don't think he did. That's just probably other. But in the preseason, he didn't get a touchdown. But it says in his career he had 1 touchdown. I think I'm not too familiar. Maybe he may have played in another league. But he's considered an undrafted free agent sign-on. And in the preseason, I'm telling you, if you watch him, he did play well. The thing that's interesting is that in Buffalo, he was a quarterback, and he was their quarterback. What I like about Tyree Jackson is that as I saw him in the preseason, he does have really nice soft hands. He's a relatively decent receiver, but of course he's still extremely raw because he's barely learning the tight end position. So you can see it in him that he has potential to be a pretty good tight end. He's very big, by the way. He's 6'7", 230 some pounds. But very long guy, very big guy for tight end. More importantly, he's still a vertical threat. If we can harness him, let him develop behind Mabry if he stays around, or we can pick him up and have him be working with Parkinson or even some of our tight end groups, I think Tyree Jackson may make a big difference. That an unknown sleeper that could actually be part of Seattle's offensive aerial assault, So I have a lot of high hopes for Tyree Jackson. I hope that he gets picked up by some team. If not, I really want him to get picked up by Seattle because I truly believe he had a pretty good all in all preseason. All right, let's move on. We have one more player. It's going to be Isaiah Moore. I believe he is still currently a rookie, but the thing is that he got injured and is having an injury settlement with Kansas City. Right now, he is currently a free agent. I believe now that the settlements are clear, he might be signed back to Kansas City. But if he does it and he floats around, I would like this guy on our team. If you saw him at NC State, this guy was an amazing coverage linebacker. He was always on the field. And not only that, he's a hell of a blitzer, almost like Jordan Brooks level of blitzer. He has plenty of speed. If you saw his combine, it's definitely up there with some of the best combines I've in college history. But all in all, that's not the point. He is good. This guy he's flashed all over NC State. He's incredible in NC State. If we can pick him up on the cheap and, not even just be an inside linebacker, but just a linebacker in general, and harness that coverage ability, Isaiah Moore would be excellent pickup for Seattle. If we, again, and the thing is, too, he's 23 years old. He's going to be 24. Very young. If we can work with him and he doesn't go back to Kansas City, this pickup would be a dream for me, in my opinion, because if you saw him at NC State, he was a baller of a linebacker, getting sacks, deflecting pass. He was just all over the field. All right, I actually have, like, I wouldn't say a secret man crush, but I am happy that if Isaiah Moore becomes a free agent and Seattle gives him a look, we need to pick him up ASAP. That's just my opinion. Okay. Other than that, thank you very much. I do appreciate y'all listening. I hope you guys enjoy, and of course, go Hawks!